Hello, everyone, and welcome to Quiz and Hers, the podcast where we test each other's knowledge and the strength of our relationship. My name is Hallie, and I'm here today with my fiance, Justin.
You're here today with me?
I'm here all of the days with you.
Yeah, I was going to say, what makes this different from any other day?
I don't know. Anyway, the way this podcast works is that we take turns asking each other 6 questions from different categories that all tie together with a common theme. The categories are sounds and screens, arts and literature, times and places, sports and games, science, and everything else. And like I said, they are tied together with a common theme, and each week, one of us tries to answer the other's questions. This week I will be asking the questions, and Justin will be attempting to answer them.
Trying to storm back to win the crown for the second season in a row.
The score currently is, 14?
I have 14.
Oh, you have 14.
And you have 18.
Yeah, baby.
So this is the final game of the season, so I need 4 points to tie and deny you the victory, 5 points to win and become a 2-time champion.
Right. He won last season, so I think it's my turn, but we'll see.
I'm in serious trouble here.
Probably.
Okay.
Are you ready for today's theme?
I'm ready.
All right. I call today's theme Finding Brave Incredible Toy Bugs.
What?
Each of those words is a word from...
Pixar movies?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The theme is Pixar.
Oh, okay. Fun.
I love Pixar movies. You love...
Some of them.
The Incredibles.
I also like the Monsters movies. They're pretty good.
Monsters, Inc. is my favorite Pixar movie.
That's ridiculous.
But it actually doesn't come up.
The first Incredibles movie is clearly the best Pixar movie. It's
Whatever.
not close.
To each their own. Okay. Are you ready for question 1?
Yep.
Sounds and screens.
Appropriate.
Yep. Figured we'd start off with the Pixar-related question.
Right. Okay.
So, what American composer of Italian descent wrote the scores for The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Jurassic World, Spider-Man: Homecoming, and won an Academy Award for his work on Up?
Probably Michael Giacchino.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes!
I didn't think you would know that, but I talk about him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have gotten it if you hadn't said Italian descent, because that cued me that it had to be an Italian-sounding name.
But I didn't even know if you knew him.
He's...
I figured I had to say something.
Yeah, to my mind, he's the most prominent Italian-American film composer, so...
Okay, now I'm getting nervous.
I'm not sure I could name another one, honestly.
Getting nervous now. All right. So, Michael Giacchino was born in 1967 in Riverside Township, New Jersey. Like I said, he is of Italian descent, with his father's ancestors coming from Sicily and his mother's hailing from Abruzzo. He actually has dual American and Italian citizenship. At the age of 10, he began creating stop-motion animation with homemade soundtracks. So it's cool that he was actually interested in composing for animated films the whole time.
Yeah.
That's like a very specific
goal.
Niche.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, basically like this job was made for him, you know? Yeah. So after high school, he attended the School of Visual Arts in New York City and majored in film production. Soon after graduation, he got a job with Disney working in publicity while taking night classes in orchestration at UCLA. He then got a job as a producer for Disney Interactive, which was a video game developer owned by Disney, but it no longer exists. Anyway, he figured that if he was a producer, he could hire himself to write the music for their video games. So it seems like it was kind of hard to just, get this job that he wanted.
Right. Well, there's only a pretty small number of film score composers out there, I think.
Right, and not even just film scores. Like, he was interested in doing animated movies, and he majored in film production, not in composing, so...
Right. I mean, it sounds like he's branched out from animated stuff, though, because he did, like you said, he did Spider-Man Homecoming, so... Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, what was it? Where was I? I was saying that, he became a producer there in hopes that, he would just hire himself to write the music. Mm-hmm. So his first major composition was for the DreamWorks video game The Lost World Jurassic Park. It was actually one of the first PlayStation games to be recorded with a live orchestra, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And he continued to write scores for video games throughout his career. The latest one was Medal of Honor Airborne in 2007. Yep. He also composed the scores for various TV shows, In 2001, J.J. Abrams heard his video game work and hired him to write the soundtrack for his new show Alias. After that, he also composed the soundtrack for Abrams' show Lost in 2004, in which he actually used pieces of plain fuselage for the percussion, which is cool.
That is cool. Fuck that show. But...
Okay, whatever. I never saw it. Anyway, I just know there's a plane crash.
Yeah.
Which is why that's creative. Anyway, 2004 was also when Giacchino got his first big film commission, which was The Incredibles. The upbeat jazz music was totally different from anything Giacchino had done before, and also different from anything Pixar had done. Apparently, Brad Bird, the director of The Incredibles, originally asked John Barry, who worked on the early James Bond films, but Barry refused to repeat the style of his earlier works. I don't know why, but honestly, The Incredibles score is one of my favorite movie scores ever, and I think that, Giacchino did a perfect job of incorporating the James Bond style without plagiarism or anything.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's such a good score.
Yeah, so good. And it earned him 2 Grammy Award nominations. I think he should have gotten the Academy Award for that. But anyway.
Yeah. What I like about that score is, The Incredibles doesn't take place in any particular time period. It's just this kind of timeless, slightly goofy superhero movie. And so I feel like if they tried to do a modern sweeping orchestral score, it wouldn't fit with that feel at all. It just fits with that kind of, maybe this is a weird alternate 1920s, or maybe it's 50 years in the future. It's not clear. So I feel like it works really well.
Yeah, it's great. So Giacchino continued to work for Disney and actually wrote the soundtrack for Space Mountain, which is pretty cool. His next Pixar movie was Ratatouille, for which he received his first Academy Award nomination. 2 years later, he won his first Academy Award for his work on Up, which is also one of my favorite scores of all time. I get it stuck in my head all the time.
Never seen that movie. Don't care.
You have to see it.
No, look boring.
The score over the beginning of that movie is just so moving.
I've seen the opening scene.
Isn't that score amazing?
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so I don't know, it's just so perfect.
Yeah, but that's the only scene from that movie that is remembered fondly. The rest of it is just nothing. So I don't know why I need to see the rest of it.
I would see it. I don't know. Anyway, the score is great. So that was actually the first time a Pixar movie won for Best Original Score.
Huh, cool.
Suck it, Randy Newman. Anyway.
I'm sure you're a very nice man, Randy Newman, if you're listening, and I know you are. I'm sure you're a very good person.
Of course. So, after that, Giacchino composed the score for Doctor Strange, which included the fanfare for the new Marvel Studios logo that debuted with the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So he wrote that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which has been in all the movies since then.
Yeah, I really like that opening.
Yeah, it's great. And he then also scored Rogue One and Spider-Man Homecoming. His most recent work was on Incredibles 2.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to the original one.
I mean, they used some of the original score in it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll end this one with an amusing story.
Okay.
After working with J.J. Abrams on a lot of things, obviously, Abrams felt guilty that he chose John Williams to score The Force Awakens, so he cast Giacchino as a stormtrooper in the movie. Apparently, he was the stormtrooper who threw Poe Dameron onto his knees in front of Kylo Ren. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a legit part. I don't know.
It's not.
Okay. He was a stormtrooper that did a thing in the movie.
I mean, he's a stormtrooper who didn't get shot immediately. So,
right.
Yeah, okay.
So, I just thought that was funny.
That is cool, yeah.
Yep. All right. Ready for question 2?
Yep.
It is sports and games.
Okay.
So, in the film Brave, the main character Merida beats all of the suitors vying for her hand in marriage in what sport whose origins date back to about 10,000 BCE?
Archery.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
I think I've seen part of it.
You must have seen some if you knew that.
Maybe it was in the trailer. I don't know.
Could have been.
I know that there is a fair amount of archery in that movie.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a good movie. Uh-oh, you're 2 for 2.
Yes, I am.
Okay, it's fine. It's all good.
My goal is just to make sure you don't win this season.
That's so mean.
I feel like the odds of me winning are very slim. I just want to make sure that you don't. So
I deserve a win.
I'm gunning for a tie.
You won last season. I deserve to win. Anyway.
Yes, but I'm very competitive.
I know. Me too. Anyway. So the obvious sports and games thing to talk about was cars, but then I realized I already did that. So.
Oh, you did last season, yeah.
So kind of
in the palindromes episode, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That was interesting stuff. But anyway, obviously had to come up with something else.
Sure.
So, The first time archery was treated as an actual sport was in the 1840s. Before that, it was basically just used for hunting and all that.
Right, and military stuff, presumably.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So the Grand National Archery Society was created in York in 1844, and they created rules called the York Round, which involved shoots at 60, 80, and 100 yards. Horace Ford, one of the greatest archers of all time, helped improve archery standards and created new techniques around this time. He won the Archery Grand National 11 times in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, he was great. So, after this, it began to decline in popularity as tennis and croquet became more popular among the middle class in Britain. But in the United States, archery gained popularity when the last member of the Yahi Indian tribe came out of hiding in California in 1911.
Wait, what?
This is a very weird story.
Okay.
So there was this guy named Ishi. He was the last member of this tribe, and, he was, I guess, living by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally came out into the world. His doctor, whose name is Saxton Pope, learned archery skills from him and helped make archery more popular in the U.S.
I don't understand any of that, but okay.
I don't know. It's really weird. Like, I guess, so Saxton Pope was also Native American.
I see.
So he kind of took him out of the...
I see.
What's the word?
Isolation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So he wanted to learn archery from him, and then he helped make it more popular in the U.S.
I see. Okay.
In the early 1900s. In 1961, the Pope and Young Club, named after Saxon Pope and his friend Arthur Young, was founded and became one of North America's main bow hunting and conservation organizations. So back to the 1920s in America, when archery was still just becoming popular. Professional engineers became interested in the sport and developed the modern recurve and compound bows, which are still the main bows used in Western archery.
Right, yeah.
So recurve bows' limbs curve away from the archer when it is not strung. And this allows the bow to store more energy, which then gives greater energy and speed to the arrow.
Yeah. I took archery for a semester in college, and we shot recurve bows. I've never used a compound bow.
I did it in summer camp. I don't remember what I used.
Probably recurve. They're cheaper.
So.
Compound bows can get quite expensive.
Okay. Yeah, I think I used recurve.
Were there a lot of gears and pulleys and stuff on it?
No.
Then it was a recurve then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, compound bows were created to decrease the force needed to fully draw back the string, which gives the archer more time to aim the bow without straining himself as much.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In Europe, straight bows are still more popular than the other types. Examples include self bows, laminated bows, and composite bows. Self bows are the kind made of a single piece of wood, whereas laminated bows and composite bows are made from different materials laminated together.
I see. Okay.
Yep. So the last type of bow I'm going to talk about is the mechanical bow, which is like a crossbow.
Right.
And these require a shorter draw length to get the same amount of energy as the larger draw length of the non-mechanical bows. They also have devices that hold the tension once the bow is fully drawn.
Right.
Yeah. I've always wanted to try one.
A crossbow?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never used a crossbow.
It's cool.
I mean, at that point, you may as well just shoot a gun for all the physical prowess and skill that it takes.
Yeah, sure, but guns don't excite me.
Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, so a little bit about arrows. Most of them consist of a shaft with an arrowhead at the front and fletchings and a nock at the other end. Fletchings are the fin-shaped stabilization devices on the end that are often made from feathers.
Mm-hmm.
The nock is the slot in the back that attaches the arrow to the bowstring.
Right.
I did not know what that was called.
Yeah. That's also the verb for knocking the arrow to the bow to fire it. It's called knocking, yeah.
Right, okay. So the most common form of competitive archery around the world is target archery. This is what Merida does in the movie.
Right.
And there's another type of archery called field archery, which is when the archer shoots at multiple targets at different distances from them in a wooded area.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of picture that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And the World Archery Federation is the governing body for the sport, and it's played at the Summer Olympics. There's also para archery, which is one of the sports at the Paralympic Games.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question 3. Arts and literature.
Okay.
What character who plays Woody's love interest in the Toy Story films is based on a classic nursery rhyme and is also mentioned in Shakespeare's King Lear in reference to the children's game Peekaboo?
Little Bo Peep? What?
Nothing. I can't decide if I should give you credit for this or not.
What?
Shall I restate the question?
Do you want... What?
Can't decide.
I don't.
Okay, fine. I think I have to give you credit.
Okay.
The character in Toy Story is not named Little Bo Peep. Her name is Bo Peep.
But the character in the nursery rhyme is Little Bo Peep.
But that wasn't the question. The question was what character who plays Woody's love interest in the Toy Story films is based on that.
Oh, come on.
I'm not... Okay, I'll be nice.
Okay.
Even though I'm gonna lose, and then I'll be upset. But it's fine. Whatever. That's what I get for being nice. Anyway, there's obviously not that much to say about Little Bo Peep, so I'm going to talk about nursery rhymes in general.
Okay.
Nursery rhymes are traditional poems from...
Sorry, there's not much to say about whom there?
Little Bo Peep, the nursery rhyme, because I'm talking about nursery rhymes in general, but the question was about the character, because this is a Pixar-themed game.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, the term nursery rhyme only dates back to the late 18th century. In 1780, Thomas Carnan published a book of rhymes called Mother Goose's Melody, and the term Mother Goose rhymes is now synonymous with nursery rhymes. The oldest songs written for children were lullabies, which date back to the Roman poet Persius in the 1st century AD. There are also some medieval English verses in the form of a lullaby about the birth of Jesus, but most did not stand the test of time. Most of the lullabies we know today, such as Rockabye Baby, are from the 17th century. Rockabye Baby was printed by John Newbery in the late 18th century, and it's good to know the name John Newbery as he is known as the father of children's literature, and his first book was a little pretty pocketbook. Throwback to our very first episode.
Oh, yes.
Remember, that was the first mention of the word baseball.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Is that also who the Newbery Medal
Yeah, I
is
was
named
just
for?
about to say, that's what it's named for.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So anyway, back to nursery rhymes. One of the oldest recorded ones is Pat a Cake Baker's Man, which was in a play called The Campaigners in 1698. I'm not gonna lie, I totally thought it was patty cake.
That is definitely what we say now.
Yeah. I don't know if that's an American thing or just a common thing. Yeah, what's a patty cake?
Right, it doesn't mean anything.
But also, why would you be patting a cake? None of it makes any sense.
Presumably it's more like a scone or something, made of like a denser, I don't know.
Oh, I see. You're like making it.
Right, you're patting it.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure, let's go with that. So the first collections of English nursery rhymes are Tommy Thumb's Songbook and Tommy Thumb's Pretty Songbook, published by Mary Cooper in London in the early 1700s. Actually, around half of the currently known English nursery rhymes were known by the mid-1700s, which is pretty crazy.
Okay, yeah.
So nursery rhymes began to get more popular in other countries like the United States in the early 19th century. In 1897, Andrew Lang, a Scottish anthropologist, produced the Nursery Rhyme Book. In the early 20th century, more nursery rhyme books were published, and they added illustrations which previous books did not have. The most famous ones are Caldecott's Hey Diddle Diddle Picture Book and Arthur Rackham's Mother Goose. It is often claimed that many nursery rhymes have hidden meanings. In 1930, Catherine Elwes published The Real Personages?
Sure.
Personage? Is it personage? Personage?
Personage.
Oh, personage sounds more fancy. Anyway, The Real Personages of Mother Goose, in which she tried to link nursery rhyme characters with real historical figures with little to no evidence. I have some other examples of hidden meanings people think they found in nursery rhymes. Old King Cole is thought to be about a clothier from Reading, England, named Richard Colebrook, who was widely known as King Cole. There are also some theories that Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary is about Mary, Queen of Scots, or Mary the First of England. Mm-hmm. Another popular theory is that Ring a Roses is about the Black Death or the Great Plague of London, even though there is literally no evidence for it. Also, I totally thought it was Ring Around the Rosie, but clearly I know nothing.
I always thought that was about smallpox.
No.
Huh, okay.
I don't think it has anything to do with any disease. I think it's just a random rhyme that someone wrote and then everyone decided it's about death, which is unfortunate.
I mean, we all fall down. That sounds like people dying in the pocket full of posies, right? You would put flowers on corpses back then so that they wouldn't smell.
It's a good theory. I don't know. There's really no proper evidence for any of this.
I don't know. I'd like it to be about some horrible disease. I think that's funny that a children's rhyme is about that.
I think it's sad. I think walking in a circle and falling down is fun for kids. Okay. In the early and mid-20th centuries, there were people who thought that some nursery rhymes were inappropriate for children, so they sought to revise them. There was a British Society for Nursery Rhyme Reform that tried to censor a bunch of nursery rhymes, which was pretty amusing.
Oh my god.
I guess they didn't think it was funny that their children nursery rhymes were about death.
Yeah, but it's not as if the kids know that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even if it is true that that's what it's about, nobody knows that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And lastly, there has been research showing that music and rhyme can increase children's spatial reasoning, which is useful for math skills. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
I always liked nursery rhymes as a kid. I was pretty into it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked The Tale of Custard the Dragon, which I've told you about. It's by Ogden Nash.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a super old nursery rhyme that no one really knows anymore, but it was in some book my mom had since she was a little kid with a bunch of nursery rhymes, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a favorite?
No.
All right. Ready for question 4?
Yep.
All right. Science.
So wait, what's the score right now? So I need 1 to tie and 2 to win, right?
Correct.
Okay. Sick. All right, science, bring it.
Yeah. In A Bug's Life, Flick lives on Ant Island, a colony of ants led by the queen and her daughter, Princess Ada. What is the scientific name for the taxonomic family that includes ants, which was also the origin of the name for a laminate material which uses chemicals that were first isolated from ants?
Okay. So I know the laminate, but I don't think I know the taxonomic family. The laminate is Formica, and it comes from the root formic, which means ant, but I don't think either of those is a taxonomic family.
Guess.
Formica.
No, but you're close.
Fuck, what is it?
It's Formicidae.
Okay.
You're very close.
All right.
But you were wrong.
No, that's, yep, okay.
They can't all be so easy.
All right.
Okay.
I feel like you made the first 3 easy to build up the drama, and now you're going to kick me in the ass.
It was not on purpose.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about ant colonies and ant life, which I always thought was pretty interesting. But I'll start off with a little about ants in general. Ants belong to the order Hymenoptera in the class Insecta, which also includes bees and wasps. They range in size from 0.75 to 52 millimeters. Gross.
52. Wait, what?
Yep. Largest ants. 52 millimeters.
So what's that, like
It's
2 inches?
5 centimeters.
Yeah, so like 2 inches long.
I don't know. I can't picture things in inches.
Inches are 2.54 centimeters.
Sure.
So, oh my god, I can't even imagine it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah. They have 3 distinct body segments called the head, mesosoma, and metasoma. The narrow waist they have between the mesosoma and metasoma is called a petiole, like a flower. Ants start out from eggs like most insects. If the egg is fertilized, the ant will be female diploid. If the egg is not fertilized, the ant will be male haploid. Ant larvae are immobile and are taken care of by worker ants. After the larva stage, they become pupae with free appendages. Winged male ants called drones and winged female breeding ants called queens emerge from the pupae. I like saying that word. Wingless female ants are sterile and are called ergates. Queens can live up to 30 years, but workers only live for 1 to 3 years. Males usually only live for a few weeks, so I guess a bug's life isn't very accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, like the difference in lifespan between the queen and the male ants.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can understand why they would not make that accurate, because that would be a very tragic film.
Yes.
About a young plucky ant who is born and then dies 3 weeks later.
Yep. So ant colonies usually contain the genetic relatives of a single queen, but this differs among ant species.
Mm.
They range in size from a few dozen individuals in small cavities to large territories containing millions of ants. The size of a colony can change from season to season because more are usually needed in the winter, which makes sense.
Sure, yeah.
Ant farms are nests that are kept in formicariums so that they can be studied by scientists. And ant hills are underground nests where the workers pile sand or soil outside the entrance, forming the little mounds that we can see.
Do we know what the purpose of that is? Like, why they don't just dig a hole?
Not that I saw.
Huh. I always wondered that.
Yeah, they pile it up out there.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
why?
I don't know.
Like,
To find it, for people to come find them? I don't know.
Seems like that makes it, A, easier for predators to find, and B, more effort to get up the mound and then in instead of just going down a hole.
I don't know.
It's puzzling.
Yeah. So when many colonies over a larger area join together, they form a supercolony. In 2000, a supercolony was found in southern Europe, which stretched over 6,000 kilometers along the Atlantic and Mediterranean coasts. In 2009, researchers showed that the largest supercolonies of Argentine ants in Japan, California, and Europe were part of one global megacolony. This megacolony is the most populous animal society on Earth. Kind of freaking out now about ants taking over the world. Anyway.
How is that possible? They're
like
separated by oceans.
All connected.
Under...
I guess.
What? You said... Wait, where did you say?
Japan, California, and Europe.
How? What?
I don't know.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, with the queens and the workers, colonies have a hierarchical structure. As ants get older, their jobs move them further from the queen. Younger ants work in the nest to protect the queen and her offspring. The queen doesn't actually tell the worker ants what to do, but they actually choose based on personal preference. The fact that ants have personal preferences is a little weird.
That is weird.
It's crazy. I maintain that they will take over the world. I'm more convinced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of this, they work together to create a, quote, super mind and can solve complex problems to find the best nesting site or find food.
Yeah, the colony has, like, distributed cognition, right? So, like, each ant is not very smart, but a colony altogether is actually pretty good at problem solving.
Yeah,
things,
it's
right?
cool.
Yeah.
They're going to take over the world. It's okay.
Potentially. I remember I once read an Animorphs book where they morphed into ants and, like, they were caught in the middle of, like, a war between two colonies or something, and they were the conclusion was basically, like, if ants had nuclear weapons, they would destroy the world in a week. That was, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that. All right. Question 5.
Okay.
It is everything else.
Okay.
Edna Mode, as you may know from The Incredibles.
Yes.
Her haircut and dark sunglasses are said to be inspired by the well-known British-American journalist and editor Anna Wintour. In real life...
Really?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know?
No, I know that whenever I'm supposed to guess a fashion editor, I guess Anna Wintour, and it's usually right.
You don't know what she looks like?
Does she look like Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada? Or is
No,
that Glenn Close?
She doesn't look like... It's
Meryl
Streep.
Streep, right? Okay.
She doesn't look
I wanted
like...
to hedge my bets.
She doesn't look like Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada. She doesn't really look like Edna Mode either, but she does have, like, a very clean-cut bob, and she always is wearing sunglasses.
Okay.
Edna Mode is just a very dramatic, what's the word? Exaggeration.
Caricature.
Yeah.
Voiced by Brad Bird, which is amazing.
Yes.
One might say
Best
it's
voice.
incredible.
Yeah.
Alright, sorry, go on.
So, the question. In real life, Anna Wintour prefers to wear clothes by what Italian fashion line founded in 1913 and even wears the outfits on multiple occasions? Gasp.
The horror. Boy, okay. I think I only know one Italian fashion line. Versace?
No.
Okay.
It is Prada.
Yeah, the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, fair enough.
Yeah. But I'm going to talk mostly about Anna Wintour because it's a little more interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Dame Anna Wintour was born in Hampstead, London in 1949 to Charles Wintour and Eleanor Trago Baker. Charles was the editor of the Evening Standard, a local London newspaper. Eleanor was born in America and her father was a Harvard law professor. As a child, Anna went to North London Collegiate School where she would often raise the hemline of her skirts in rebellion.
Scandalous.
Yeah, so scandalous. She began to wear her hair in a bob at the age of just 14, which is pretty crazy because can't really picture a teenager with that hair.
No.
Maybe back then it was more exciting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What era was this?
So she was born in 1949, so it was the early 60s.
Yeah, I don't associate bobs with the 60s really.
No,
okay.
maybe in England.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I know bobs are usually like the 20s.
Yeah, like flapper era. That's what I think of when I think of the bob.
Yeah, but she's very fashion forward, so she was starting a trend or something. I don't know.
Kind of sounds like she was fashion backward by about 40 years.
Yeah, maybe. So she originally became interested in fashion from the 17 magazines that her grandma sent her from the United States.
Her grandmother sent her 17 magazines?
Yeah.
17 different magazines.
Oh, shut up.
Sorry, you left the hanging there. I had to.
Okay, fine.
The issues of 17 magazine.
Yeah, sorry
Yes, all
if
right.
that was unclear, if anyone has never heard of 17 magazine. Okay, fine. Anyway, around this
That was
time...
low-hanging fruit.
Yes, okay, fine. Moving on. Around this time, her father often asked her for advice about how to increase readership of the Evening Standard among younger audiences. He also got her first job for a London fashion store called Biba Boutique when she was just 15. Then, when she was 16, she left the North London Collegiate School and started a training program at Harrods. Her first job in the magazine industry was for Oz, an alternative magazine associated with the counterculture of the 1960s.
Oz as in Oz, the Wizard of?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think it's related.
Just making sure I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
If this ever comes up on like Jeopardy or something, I'm going to want to make sure I know what the hell I'm saying.
Okay.
All right.
And Anna's first job for a fashion magazine was as an editorial assistant for Harper's and Queen magazine. So after a few years, she moved to New York and became a junior fashion editor at Harper's Bazaar in 1975. Soon after, she got her first job as a fashion editor at Viva, an adult women's magazine, which was basically Penthouse for women.
Nice.
Yeah.
Stay classy, Anna.
Yeah. After the magazine was shut down, she took a couple of years off work and then came back as fashion editor for a magazine called Savvy.
Wait, when you say that Penthouse for Women was shut down, do you mean like forcibly or it just went out of business?
Well, it was owned by the Penthouse guy's wife. I don't remember their names. He kind of like helped get it going, and then they decided just to stop.
It wasn't profitable. Okay.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, fair enough.
After that, she became fashion editor for New York Magazine. In 1983, she became the first, quote, creative director for Vogue magazine. She would often change things to the magazine without the editor's knowledge, which she did not like.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah. Then in 1985, she became editor of the UK version of Vogue and immediately replaced a bunch of the staff and took a lot more control than the previous editor. Because of this, they gave her the nickname Nuclear Wintour.
That's very good. I
Yes,
like that.
It is. In 1987, she was editor of House and Garden in New York for less than a year when she became editor of US Vogue. She changed the magazine by moving from headshot covers to more full-body photos, which combined expensive high-fashion clothes with cheaper clothes. She later oversaw the production of 3 spin-off magazines called Teen Vogue, Vogue Living, and Men's Vogue. In 2008, there were rumors that she would retire, but in 2009, she began to make more media appearances and is basically still doing it.
Right. So when did she first take over as editor, you said?
1987.
Wow. So she's been doing it for 30 plus years now.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Well, she's like the best.
If you say so.
That's what they say.
I don't really understand what makes a good or bad fashion editor, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
In 2009, an American documentary called The September Issue came out about Anna Wintour and her staff at Vogue creating the September 2007 issue. There are many famous fashion people in the documentary, including designers Oscar de la Renta, John Galliano, and Vera Wang. One of Wintour's previous assistants wrote the novel The Devil Wears Prada, which we mentioned earlier.
Right.
And it is pretty well known that the character Miranda Priestley, which is played by Meryl Streep, is based on her. After the book came out, she said, quote, I always enjoy a great piece of fiction. I haven't decided whether I am going to read it or not. Savage.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's voiced by Brad Bird.
Anna Wintour is voiced by Brad Bird.
Yes. Sorry, that's Edna Mode.
Yeah.
I get them confused.
Okay. And that one is a real person.
Right, correct.
One is not.
And one is a 2-foot tall cartoon character voiced by the director. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Anna Wintour is particularly short either. I don't know.
Feels like there's a lot of inspirations that go into that character.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so shit, I can't win now, can I? I'm pulling for the tie now.
Yep.
Fuck. All right. All comes down to this.
Okay. Are you ready?
All right, what do you
Last
got?
one.
What do you got?
All right. Last question. Times and places.
Okay.
Ratatouille, along with bouillabaisse, escabeche, and tapenade, are dishes from Provence in southeast France, which basically corresponds to what modern administrative region?
Jesus Christ.
What?
What?
What? What region of, like,
Right.
It's like a state.
Yeah, alright. Oh boy.
You didn't memorize your French state?
Not exactly high up on my list of things that I need to get around to memorizing.
Well, it could be useful if you go there someday.
Alright. Okay. What's the modern name for Provence, basically?
Sure. I can give you a hint.
No. Don't cheapen it. Fuck. I don't know. I don't even think I have a guess. I have to tip my king. Congratulations,
Thank
champ.
you.
What is it?
It's called Provence Alpes Côte d'Azur.
Sure.
It's an area,
Okay. That's
basically.
preposterous. All right.
What's preposterous?
That question. Go on.
Well, the whole thing we say is that we should write 2 questions that they will definitely get, 2 that they will maybe get, and 2 that they probably will not get. This was one of the ones that I was pretty sure you were not going to get.
All right, fair.
And I thought you were going to get for Miss today, and you were super close.
All right.
You can get half credit.
No, great. So I lose by a half a point instead of a point?
Yeah, softens the blow.
Shut up. All right, tell me about Provence.
Okay. So, in addition to the Rhone on the west and Italy on the east, Provence is bordered by the Mediterranean Sea to the south and roughly follows the border of the Durance River to the north. The Durance River is a tributary of the Rhone, which it meets in Avignon. The Verdun River is a tributary of the Durance and is best known for its beautiful canyon called Verdun Gorge. Look it up. Very pretty.
How's that spelled?
Verdon.
Okay.
Verdun.
Verdun. So it's not Verdun. Okay.
No.
That's different. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Sounds familiar.
It is in France. Hang on. I gotta say. It's something. I think it's like, I don't want to sound dumb. Hang on. Small city.
Oh, it must be along the Verdun.
Doesn't look like it.
Oh, just a random
city. You said Provence is southeast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is northeast.
Oh.
Yeah, it's almost at the border with like Belgium.
Okay.
All right, go on.
So the other part of the Rhone that does not flow into the Durance splits into 2 parts that flow into the Mediterranean and are called the Grand Rhone and the Petit Rhone. The area between these 2 branches and the Mediterranean is called the Camargue. Maybe it's Camargue?
It's French, so you probably don't pronounce the last few letters.
So I was right. It's probably Camargue.
Probably.
Sure. So
I'm no good at French pronunciation. I can read some French, but I cannot say any French.
Yeah, I only know Spanish and Italian, which doesn't help with pronouncing French.
No, not really.
Yeah. So the Camargue is Western Europe's largest river delta and is home to over 400 species of birds, including flamingos.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The other river in Provence, not part of the Rhone, is the Var River, which flows south from the Alps into the Mediterranean near Nice. The Maritime Alps run along the eastern border of Provence with Italy and are the highest elevations in the region. South of Avignon is a smaller mountain range called the Alpilles, which rise from the plain of the Rhone Valley. The best-known mountain in Provence is probably Montagne Saint-Victor because Cézanne could see it from his home and painted it a lot.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I like Cézanne.
Yeah, me too. It's good.
If this isn't the super dickish thing to say, Cézanne's probably my favorite post-impressionist.
Oh my god.
I know.
Wow.
I felt gross just saying that, but it's probably true. I do like Cézanne a lot.
We should talk about them one day.
The post-impressionists.
Yeah.
Dibs.
Good stuff.
I'm kidding.
We'll see. Whoever gets there first.
All right.
So, along the Provence coast are a series of narrow inlets known as the Calanques, or Massif des Calanques. They were formed by the melting of glaciers after the last glaciation. It's pretty cool. The largest city in Provence is Marseille, which is the main commercial port in France. Around 125 BCE, the Romans made the area their first province and called it Provincia Romana. See, that I can pronounce. And anyway, that's why it's called Provence now. Makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it basically comes from province, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does. Okay.
Yeah. So Provence has now been part of France for over 500 years, but the area still retains its own language and culture. The language that was spoken there, called Provençal, was a dialect of the Occitan language, which is similar to Catalan. Yeah. The ancient form of the Provençal language was called Niçoise. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's where that term comes from.
Yeah.
In like cooking and stuff, like salad niçoise and that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the 20th century, the French government put forth a lot of effort to replace regional languages with French, but there are still a small number of people in Provence, mostly elderly, who still speak the language. So like I mentioned in the question, there are some great dishes that hail from Provence. Ratatouille originated in Nice and is a dish of stewed vegetables. Bouillabaisse is the classic seafood dish of Marseille, which consists of seafood and a broth served separately along with thick slices of bread topped with rouille, which is a mayonnaise with red pimentos. I feel like I had bouillabaisse the night we got engaged.
Did you?
I'm like pretty sure.
That sounds right.
Well, we ate at a French restaurant.
Yes. Bouillabaisse is delicious.
I remember that being really good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Anyway. Escabeche is another popular seafood dish which consists of marinated sardines which are either poached or fried. That sounds less good.
Eh,
I don't know.
there's not much bad in French cooking, let's
That's
be
true.
honest, but
That is true. And lastly, tapenade is a relish of finely chopped olives with capers and olive oil, usually eaten on bread.
Yum.
Yum. I love tapenade. We should make some.
Okay.
Okay. And I can't talk about Provence without mentioning wine.
Mm.
Most of the wines grown there are rosés, and the most common grape is Mourvedre. Grenache, Cinsault, and Syrah are also commonly grown there. And the official liqueur of Provence is called pastis, which is anise flavored.
Okay. I think wine might be the topic that we've talked more about than any other topic on this podcast. Maybe closely followed by, like, medieval history.
Wine is my favorite topic.
Yeah. I like
Also
wine.
food. I like talking about food. I did a whole episode about sandwiches, so.
Don't remind me.
Every time I'm trying to think of new themes, immediately I'm like, pizza, sandwiches, cheese.
So you write down a bunch of foods, then you have to go back and cross them out?
Yes. I don't know why my mind immediately just wants to write episodes about food.
Okay.
It's on my mind. I don't know.
Alright, go on.
That was basically it. I would love to go there. Hopefully we can soon.
Yep. Alright. Well, take us home, champ.
All right. So, thanks for listening. This was our final episode of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel free to reach out to us. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are on Gmail, quizandhers@gmail.com.
Yep.
And you can feel free to leave us a review on iTunes or just contact us directly.
Yep.
And we'll be back soon. And in the meantime, mid-season.
Yeah, during the season break, the mid-season break.
Thank you, that's the
Yes,
word.
There you go.
We will be having some fun, different episodes.
Yeah, so we will have at least one crossover with a friend of ours, possibly one or two more. It's not clear. They're still kind of in the works. But yeah, so look for an episode featuring Rory M. Spence from the Dog Hair Presents podcast. That will be out probably a couple days after Christmas, I think, like end of December. So.
And we were also on his podcast, so feel free to check those out as well.
Yeah, definitely go back and check those episodes out. If you like this podcast, you will find something to like there, for sure.
Definitely. All right. Are we good?
Yep.
Did I leave anything out?
No, I think that's it. You want the last word?
Bye.
Last word, bye.
Oh man. I'm gonna lose, and it's upsetting. Woo! Hang on, I'm gonna make this question a little harder. Hot, sec.